And these subsidies that they are fighting for allow millionaires that the people who actually need these things, Dana, can get them. And Democrats, once again, could care less about how much we spend, and they just want to try to find a political edge, and they don't have it on this
Senator,
one.
I hear you.
Dana Bash, the professional, miserable question asker, meets a professional politician from the Republican Party who does not let her get a word in edgewise. And surprise, surprise, Dana actually asks a good question. It's Sean Daniel here, and I urge you to hit the like button, not just for the Republican, but also for Dana Bash. Even if it feels like an allergic response, do it.
Over the weekend, the president freed former Republican Congressman George Santos from jail after he served just 3 months of a 7-year sentence for fraud. Congressman Santos will be joining us in moments. But first, here with me now is Republican Senator Katie Britt of Alabama, an ally of President Trump. Senator Britt, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I do want to start with the news about Congressman Santos. He did plead guilty to defrauding his donors and constituents of hundreds of thousands of dollars, money he will no longer be required to pay back because of this commutation. Is this acceptable to you?
Look, I'll let Congressman Santos speak for himself when he comes on your program next. What I appreciate is President Trump's commitment to the American people. Look, we saw obviously disarray under President Biden, and President Trump is actually making good on his promises to secure our border, to actually make sure that our economy starts working for American people. And we're also seeing him bring peace abroad. So I'm focused on the things that President Trump is focused on, and that is making sure that the government gets back up and running, and certainly look forward to making that happen soon.
I do want to talk to you about all of those things, but real quick, no opinion on the commutation?
Well, look, President Trump has the opportunity and the ability to do this. I find it interesting, though, that we see more people focused on him, on Congressman Santos, than we did on Albrego Garcia, who actually, as we well know, trafficked humans across our country, and then has been accused of everything from beating his wife to being a member of a gang. And yet we see Democrats focused on this man. And so I think people need to go into focus about what really matters. And I think obviously getting criminal illegal aliens out of America is something we should all be able to get behind.
And Abrego Garcia is going through the legal process now. Santos did go through that and pleaded guilty, and that's why he was in jail.
Well, I certainly hope that him and others are held accountable.
None of the Republicans are going to come out and speak against Trump giving this commutation, even if they think it's wrong, even if they think this guy gets away with all the crimes he committed and that he pled guilty on. Nobody's going to come out and say anything against it.
Okay, let's talk about the government shutdown. In many states, people are beginning to see how much their health costs will rise if the expanded Obamacare subsidies expire. That's, of course, what Democrats have been warning about. 130,000 of your constituents in Alabama could lose their coverage. And your leader, the Senate Majority Leader John Thune, says he is willing to hold a vote to extend those subsidies if the government reopens. Would you vote to extend the subsidies?
Look, first off, let's be honest about this. Democrats are playing politics. They are pandering to the far left because they're actually terrified of them. They're not working for the American people. Leader Thune has put a clean CR that has passed the House on the floor. This is something that Democrats voted for 13 times under President Biden to give us an opportunity to continue to do our work, the actual appropriations process, which you hear no Democrats talking about. When it comes to the ACA subsidies and these COVID era subsidies, look, you didn't hear them talking about that until days before they put it until the government was needed to be funded. And the bottom line on this is, when you look at the costs that are coming up in 2026, the vast majority of the costs that the American people are going to see, 80% of the raise in prices that they will see in Obamacare, has to do with a fundamentally flawed program, Dana. Look, from the very beginning, Obamacare Obamacare was never affordable. You even saw the Washington Post say the Affordable Care Act was never affordable. So coming in 2010, they put in subsidies in 2014, then put them in again in COVID in 2021. And these subsidies that they are fighting for allow millionaires to be able to take advantage
So that's
of
about
them. So
reform.
you have people that have reached out. Wait, hold on one second, Dana. You have people who have reached out to our office who have maybe 2 homes in different places, and they are getting these subsidies. The fact that Democrats are going to the mat so millionaires can get additional money from the government is absolutely mind-boggling. This program is wrought with fraud. It has no income cap. So I want you to ask Democrats if they believe in that. If you were to extend these just as they are now, you're continuing to waste money, basically put it up in flames, and we need to make sure, just like we did with the working families tax cuts, that the people who actually need these things, Dana, can get them. And Democrats, once again, could care less about how much we spend, and they just want to try to find a political edge, and they don't have it on this
Senator,
one.
I hear you saying that there needs to be...
Dana is not used to not being able to get a word in edgewise. That was a cool woman-on-woman battle where she's like, no, honey, I'm not done speaking. You're going to wait. And it's actually odd that the Democrats are doing something that advocates for putting more money in millionaires' pockets, according to this lady, because that's kind of their whole shtick. Taxing the millionaires to pay for everyone else. There's too many millionaires, too many billionaires. And they really want these ACA credits to keep going. They have been extended so many times, like she said, 2014, 2020, or 2021. And now they want to extend them again to keep the government open. It'll be interesting to see if Chuck Schumer and anyone will budge now that they've been able to have this big No Kings protest and Trump's keeping the government shut down. It'll be interesting to see if anything changes and if this lady brings that up.
I hear you saying that there needs to be reform, which I understand. In the short term, though, the question is whether or not you would approve, because you might have an up or down vote on this, a 1-year extension for the premiums as they are. Would you vote yes or no?
Well, what I want to vote is to open the government, which I have done a number of times. I have said that I'm absolutely open to having conversation, but we're not going to extend a program that is wrought with fraud, waste, and abuse. There would have to be adjustments to this program to make it make sense for the American people. Look, we are spending out of oblivion, and the Democrats don't seem to focus on how do we make these things actually work. Our healthcare system is broken, the system that they put in place, and I remind you, this is their program, Affordable Care Act. These are their subsidies, and they set the date for their expiration. And now the Democrats want us to dig them out of a hole. What we want to do is make sure that the American people work and people get paychecks. Dana, this weekend I had people come up to me and say 2 things.
Senator,
1, I'm not getting a paycheck and I can't afford my mortgage. And 2, they said their small businesses
Senator, I just want to jump
to
in
close.
because
we need to be focused on opening the government.
Yeah, right. And so your fellow Alabama Senator, Tommy Tuberville, said allowing the credits to expire would hurt my state. Do you agree with them?
Look, I think there can be reforms to these credits, but ultimately we're going to need a total overhaul. So I am absolutely willing to have a conversation, but we've got to open the government first, Anna. I mean, and I hope you call them out on this. They are holding the American people hostage for their own political gain. These things happen January 1st. We have plenty of time to have these conversations, and I think that we will.
Yeah, and I want to move on, but what the Democrats have said, because I've interviewed lots of them about this very topic, is that they tried to have conversations before this crisis and that the Republicans wouldn't engage. The other thing I do want to point out is that health insurance companies are setting their rates.
That whole argument that the Democrats are making that the Republicans don't want to talk, and that you saw previously in the video with AOC and Bernie about, oh, none of them are here to work, none of them want to talk. It's foolish. Because Trump already had the Oval Office meeting with Senator Thune, with Mike Johnson, with Chuck Schumer, with Hakeem Jeffries. And you've also had Senator Thune ready to talk with Senator Chuck Schumer, and yet they continue to blame the House Republicans like Mike Johnson when the bill's already been passed in the House. So their whole argument about the House Republicans are back in their districts. The House Republicans don't need to be in D.C. for them to get a deal with the government shutdown.
Now, I do want to talk about IVF because you were a major driver behind
Okay.
President Trump's announcement this week of plans to lower the cost of in vitro fertilization and make the process more accessible to Americans. Now, he didn't go as far as he promised during the campaign, which would be free universal IVF coverage and require insurance companies to cover it. Is that still the goal?
Look, President Trump is the most pro-IVF president that we've had. From the very first conversation that I had with him, Dana, which he mentioned obviously in the Oval Office, where we talked about this issue, he has been a strong, unwavering supporter. He understands that families all across our country are hopeful that they can either start or expand their family. And this, for so many Americans, gives them the opportunity for that. Look, 1 in 8 families actually experience infertility. We know 9% of men and 11% of women this is a challenge in front of them. And we know that the affordability of it puts it out of reach for so many people. So as he processes this, he is beginning to make strides in this that no other president has made, and I am so grateful for his leadership on this. Look, on Friday night, I ran into a friend of mine who literally told me her story, Dana, about that she was unable to, the affordability here in the United States was too great, so she had to seek treatment elsewhere so that she could begin the dream of actually starting her family. And then I got to see a child this weekend celebrate their birthday, and knowing that these families wouldn't be here but for IVF, or these people wouldn't have hope like they do because of what President Trump has done. He's made significant strides in this, and I think he will obviously continue to lead, be the most pro-family, pro-parent president that we've ever had, and it's an honor to be a part of it.
I did not like that one bit. Yes, it was good that she tried to combat Dana Bash's attacking question about Trump and how he hasn't made enough progress, which you know that they really tried to do. But she had a logical question. This is a promise Trump made on the campaign trail. This is a big thing you pushed him for, and yet he didn't follow through to what he said. Now, maybe there's more complications with insurance companies. Maybe it was just, a campaign promise that he put out there, but that was a good question. And this lady just went through a whole grandstanding. She started, Trump's the greatest president we've ever had. He's the most pro-family president. I mean, you see why Senator Katie Britt is a senator, a professional politician. But that was such a saleswoman-y response to back President Trump, show how great he's doing, which is impressive, the progress he's made to make this even more affordable. But that was a campaign promise he made. And that was not a genuine answer at all. She could have said at the end, yes, we want to get it to that point, but she can't make a goalpost that CNN will then attack Trump on. That just sounded so fake and not real and polished and prepared, when she could have at least just said, yes, that's still a goal that we have. That was a campaign promise. We're focused on fulfilling our campaign promises. That felt so salesy and scripted, and I did not like that at all. Come on, Katie. It's Sean Daniel here. If you want to keep the Sunday marathon going and see what George Santos has to say with Dana Bash after getting commuted by President Trump, check out this video right here. I'm about to film it, and I'll see you there.